Razabani for FightHype.com. With me, I've got the man of the moment, the man in demand, Ben Davis. Ben, how are you, my man?
I'm good, thanks, mate. You?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Not too bad. Good to be in wet Belfast today. The weather isn't the greatest, but
but you can't have it all, can you?
You can't have it all. Absolutely. Ben, just wanna, before we touch on Tyson and obviously the second comeback fight, just a little bit about yourself. I remember when you were in the corner for Billy Joe Saunders, where Billy called that one of his probably worst performance of his career. Did that fight have a kind of a negative impact for yourself, being with a top class fighter?
No, probably a positive, to be honest, because you're not going to get put in a harder position than that, because I've worked with Billy Joe since 2012, so you know, I've worked with Billy Joe for a lot of these fights, and you know, preparation for that fight was far from ideal. Billy Joe was in a bad position. He asked me to do a favour. I agreed to do it, so I knew what the situation was, and there was nobody more qualified in that moment in time to help Billy Joe get through that fight than myself, and that's what it was, you know. And people talk about experience, etc., but it took experience for me to know, and working with Billy Joe for a long time, to know what he had in the tank for that, you know. Somebody that didn't know him or didn't know could have pushed him too early in that fight, and he wouldn't have seen the final bell, and he's thanked me on numerous occasions to helping him get through that fight, and that's what we've done. So it was a job well done, really, from our point of view, considering the position that he was in going into that fight. But he's beyond that now, and it was what it was, and he's in a much better position now.
For you personally, because obviously there's a lot of critics about kind of the instructions you were given at the time. Obviously you're proving the critics wrong now, because you have the lineal heavyweight champion of the world. But was that just a learning curve and something you look back and said, yeah, I made mistakes, or I didn't make mistakes, but now I've improved?
No, I made the right decisions, because Billy Joe got through that fight and come out with a win, when, you know, just getting him into the ring that night to defend that belt was a job well done, let alone him coming out with a win. So, you know, when people from the outside would look on and say, why is he telling him to keep doing the same thing? Why is he not telling him to do more, which he needed to do? But I knew, because I'd spent weeks with him and knew what Billy Joe has in the tank, that he didn't have that. He couldn't. It wasn't the right time to push. And you know, Akavov leading into that fight, he wasn't the most experienced going into that fight. It was his first world title fight, and his first fight getting in with somebody like Billy Joe. I knew when he got to round 7 and 8, he would have had those doubts in his head, can I do this? Especially if Billy Joe saved himself to put the gas on there, because there was only it was a small fuel tank we was working with there, so it was all about timing, and we chose the right time for him to put his foot on the gas there and increase those doubts that Akavov had. And if we pushed too soon and put the pedal to the floor too soon, he probably wouldn't have got through that fight, Billy Joe. But like I said, I worked with Billy Joe for a long time, so I knew how to get him through that fight. And like I say, from our point, it was a job well done, because listen, nobody will know where he come from that training camp. And it was pretty similar to what I've done here with Tyson, to be honest.
On Tyson, this show was supposed to be, let's be real, it was supposed to be Carl Frampton and his dream as a child to fight at Windsor Park.
Yeah.
And it looks like everyone's talking about Tyson, who's fighting on the undercard, and another guy who's not even fighting on the undercard in Deontay Wilder. I spoke to Greg just a moment ago, just off camera. Is Tyson ready for that fight with Wilder? Do you think that's too soon? That's the question that's been asked, and a lot of American media, I've been looking at the tweets, and they're saying the Brits better not complain and say that Tyson only had 2 combat fights, he wasn't ready. when Wilder beats him?
Well, listen, we've got Saturday night to get through first before we talk about Deontay Wilder and all the rest of it. But if you look at Tyson's history, I've said this on numerous occasions, look at the Joey Abel performance. It wasn't enough to beat Chisora, but when he boxed Chisora, it was an exceptional performance. When he boxed Christian Hammer, it wasn't enough for him to go and beat Vladimir Klitschko, but we all know what happened there. Tyson raised the game to what's in front of him, and Deontay Wilder will get dealt with when it comes to that, but for right now, we're focused on Pianeta.
I know you're focused on Pianeta. Of course, that's obviously Saturday night. He obviously had that loss to Kevin Johnson not long ago. Kevin Johnson now fighting Daniel Dubois, I believe, in October. So it seems like it's, I'm not going to say it's another Sefer fight, but it should be a routine win for Tyson in the real world. But it is heavyweight boxing and anything can happen. But with Wilder, that fight looks like it's going to take place in Vegas. Wilder said as well today that the fight's done. All Tyson has to do is win. Shelley also said the fight's done. Frank said the fight's done. So the fight is done. For yourself, you're looking forward to taking the lineal heavyweight champion to Sin City?
Yeah, but people keep asking this, you know, is it good to be involved in a big fight like this? Listen, of course it's good, but I treat everybody the same. Whether somebody boxing on a small hall show in York Hall, or it's Tyson boxing Deontay Wilder, I make sure I give my best to everybody. No, that's for me.
Is mine coming? The rigatoni? Yeah.
So, you know, I take pride in my work and take pride in what I do, so I always give my best for everybody. Isaac Lowe's only boxing a 4-rounder on this bill. I'll give him as much time and effort as I've done Tyson, because, you know, that's how I am. But of course, you know, you look forward to the big nights and that, but work-wise, it's all the same.
Why would you do that? Then, sorry then.
I like that, Greg. Well done, Greg. That's how professional we are here. But yeah, so you know, of course. But like I say, we've got Pianeta to get through first, and we've put in as much time and effort and work as we would do for Deontay Wilder for Pianeta.
In the gym times, and obviously when he came in his first fight back, he looked like he could lose a little bit more, well, a few more pounds. I believe he lost 18 pounds since then. Do you think his weight is now perfect for him?
In regards to Tyson's ideal weight, I always get asked this. It depends on the opponent, you know, and the opponent's strengths and the opponent's weaknesses, and our game plan as well for his ideal weight, depending on what we're looking for. But you know, you have to look at where Tyson come from as well, you know. People are never, because we wouldn't put it out there, but where he's really come from, you know, the achievement of that alone is second to none. And if people ask about his motivation to be back in the sport, listen, I know he's motivated just to get to where he's got to now from where he has come from. But you know, aesthetically it's going to take time for him to look his best. Performance-wise, I'm very happy with where he is, and Saturday night will be a good indication, and we go from there. But I'm expecting a standout performance.
In terms of sparring partners, well, obviously, I think you put some images out of Dave Allen being in camp, etc., etc. Will these sparring partners in terms of quality increase as the opponents? Well, what I'm trying to say is the sparring partners, the level of sparring partners, will they increase depending who the opponent is?
It depends, you know. It depends who you can get. We've had some good sparring over and kept it quiet, you know. We don't put everything out there. Obviously, there's some pictures of Dave and a few other sparring partners. But even then, you know, these guys are only doing 1-2 rounds with Tyson at a time. So he's had between 8 to 12 rounds, between 4 and 5 men a day. Only doing 1 to 2 rounds at a time with him, you know. So the sparring's been good. We've had a good variety and some very good sparring. Good mix of different styles. And like I say, we've had some good sparring partners over and some good names, but we don't let everything out the bag, you know. So listen, preparation's gone very well, very well.
Second fight back in September. He may fight in December, but how many more times would you like to see him out? Twice a year, 3 times a year? I know he's just phasing himself back in. He wants to have a lot of fights, but eventually you want to go back to what, 2 fights a year, 3 fights a year?
We can't look past Pianeta, you know. We've got that tomorrow. He's had a Sefa Safari, which, you know, was more of an event than it was about the fight. Frank made that clear when he was talking about opponents. And to see the best of Tyson, you need an opponent that's coming to win, coming to have a go. So, you know, we'll have a look on Saturday, have a look tomorrow, and like I said, we'll go from there. Obviously, all this talk about Deontay Wilder, but everything, tomorrow's job must get done before all that can process.
Let's talk a little bit about boxing politics. You're not going to talk too much about Fury and Wilder, and I understand that as a coach you've got to focus on the task on hand. Are you surprised that Fury is now being linked to Wilder, or a fight's done with Wilder, rather than Wilder and Joshua? A fight everyone thought
No, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all, because I knew, because I heard the words myself that they didn't want that fight. Not that Anthony Joshua didn't want that fight, but I know that Eddie didn't want the fight, and I know that Rob didn't want the fight. But does it make him wrong? No. Robert McCracken's a fantastic coach, and if he feels like he has certain things that he wants Anthony Joshua to work on before taking that fight, you've got to fully respect that. And but what I don't like is you know, Eddie talking like it's Deontay's fault the fight that happened. Listen, his game is a pebble. Believe me, his game is a pebble. So do not worry about him ducking and dodging any fights. But at the same time, you can hide behind business. The business that they offered him and the figure that they've offered him. You know, he can't accept that. He can't accept that. I said before that I know that what they've offered him, the minimum guarantee on his purse for this fight is more than what they offered him. His minimum guarantee. So and how he couldn't take that fight. He'd be working for him. So, I mean, and he deserves a fair shake and a 50-50 deal with him. Because listen, there's a triangle we've got at the minute. We've got Tyson, Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, and people, some believe Tyson's the best, some believe Joshua's the best, some believe Wilder's the best. So when they fight, it should be a level playing ground, a level playing field. That's how I see it anyway. And anybody that has that respect for themselves isn't going to go there as a workman.
Just finally, obviously, not a lot of people were expecting Wilder to be here today. We knew he was in the country, but everyone expected to see him tomorrow. What's his make of the whole commotion with Big Fury, with Tyson himself kicking off?
Listen, it's all part of it, isn't it? I believe that Wilder's a good fella deep down, and listen, he's here to try and get himself a massive fight. You can't blame him. Fair play to him, really, you know. But we're fully focused on Francesco Pianeta, and we've got that job done. After that job's done, then we'll look at that and sort that out. And I'm sure Big John will go flying at him if he gets too carried away tomorrow.
Ben, my man, always a pleasure talking to you. I know you've got your food behind you. Before Isaac starts putting it in his mouth again and spitting it back out in your plate. You better get on with it. All the best for tomorrow night, and hopefully we'll catch up with you post-fight.
100%.
Ben Davis for FightHype.com. Thank you very much.